Okay, so hi guys, this is Neil,
I'm Khushi.
and we both are here from the KISSA Dramatic Society. And today we are here to talk about the film JAI BHIM, which is a recent film. It was based on a true incident of habeas corpus of a case of 1993. This film is
Yeah,
directed by Gnanavel,
yeah.
and
And the lead actors from the film are Surya, which a lot of you might know if you are interested in South Indian films. This is originally a Tamil film, but there's a lot of translations available on Prime. If you guys are, I hope you will be, after watching this review, interested in watching the movie further. And some other actors, there's Prakash Raj, which we all collectively love. There's Lijamal Bose, there's K. Manikandan, and a lot of other actors involved. So as when we watched this movie, the main interest here was that this movie, like Neil mentioned, is based on a real life incident, a real life case that happened in 1993, and which is why we've come up with this. And I think it's something that goes with very important rights of the caste system. That is why we wanted to bring this in front of everyone.
yeah, and we also talk about the exclusion that the tribes of our country are facing, especially the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes who are facing and who have faced at that time in 1993, and on which this film is based. So this is a case of habeas corpus. So we'll give a quick review of what was the film. So in this film, there was two main actors. There was Sengini and there was this Rajak. These both were tribal workers, and they were accused for a theft out of generally in a Sarpanch South.
So the accusing was not just it wasn't on Sangini. Raja Kanu, her husband, was accused originally. But as we go through the movie, we realize that actually we know from the beginning that Raja Kanu has not been involved in the theft altogether. We know from the beginning that it is a wrongful accusation. The movie from the beginning sets up a very realistic and very I don't know, a suspicious environment. And it sets up, we know that this is about something that has been wrongfully done. And we already know that Raja Kanu and and his brothers and the other tribal workers have not been involved and are being wrongfully accused. So, yeah. We go further from there where it starts from the theft. And as we go, this movie is maybe the case is primarily focused on the theft, yes, but the movie also shows a lot of other wrongful injustices that the caste workers have to face, including voting rights, educational rights, address proofing, stuff like that, and also literacy rights, right? The place that they live, they aren't allowed to live there. They're constantly, they're constantly faced with injustices and
And also,
trauma,
the
emotional and
place
physical
where they
both.
lived was once their own village, and the lands were,
Exactly.
taken away from them.
Exactly. So there's constant injustices that we see, and I would like to actually give you, we would like to give you a warning before you begin this movie, is that there will be a lot of dark topics and dark incidents that will occur in the movie that may trigger you. So this is officially a trigger warning to everyone who is watching this review. Please make sure that you are in the right state of mind, because it mentions sexual abuse, it mentions physical abuse, it mentions a lot of traumatic topics, and it can be very, very, very sensitive to people who are not ready to deal with it. So please make sure you are in the right state of mind before you even begin to watch this movie, so that it helps
There are
you
some harsh
become
elements in
informed
this.
instead of, yes, exactly. There's a lot of violence in here. So yeah, it's a lot about the caste, it's a lot about the discrimination. But let's get back to the summary. After the theft, there is the local police officers, which is headed by the sub-inspector of the police, station there. They have a lot of pressure from above, because the theft happened in the Sarpanch's house, for whom Raja Kanu and his wife worked. So there's a lot of pressure from there, and the investigation goes on further.
Yes,
So
then he goes on further, and until a point where Raja Kannu was beaten rigorously in the lockups because he was not, claiming that I have done this theft, and he has actually not done the theft. So it goes on, and until a point when they were all missing from the lockup. So after
yeah,
this point, his wife Sangani was searching for his husband all around the town where he worked. He searched everywhere until a point when he reached out lawyers. He was reaching out lawyers, activists, that so someone could help him actually. And then he landed up in the house of Surya, who is the lead actor in the film and who is a lawyer. And he is playing the role of Justice K. Chandru in this film, and he took up the case, and he thought that he should fight for this cause because he was in the film, he was shown as an activist. He was actively working for human rights and violation of the abrupt violation that people were facing in the country. He was actively working for them, and the most appreciated part was that he was not even taking fees for the human rights case, which is very appreciated in today's
yeah.
time. Not today's time, but
So
at that time when money was very, a crucial thing for people, he was taking this case for free. He is, not charging any fee from the tribal woman.
Something to note here is that Justice K. Chandru, who has been portrayed in the movie by Surya, is actually a real life character. This has not been altered in any way. And he takes up the case, and there's a lot of details that we're actively missing here. We're actively not mentioning because we actually want you to go and watch the movie. We're
Yes.
giving you a very, very brief summary, and of course, we will not give you the end, we will not give you the middle, we will not give you anything of importance of what this movie suggests, because this is the kind of movie that you watch and you realize that this country still needs to go farther than where we are. One thing I would like to appreciate is that this movie brought about a lot of topics that have been hidden and have been in the dark for the longest time, because castes in the minorities, people who do not have the education, the resources to come out and speak out for themselves. Raja Chandru, I'm
Raja
sorry,
Khan.
K. Chandru, Raja Kanu, and Sangini's case, all of this brings out the dialogue, the conversation that we've been meaning to have, that we need to have. It is high time now, as a country and as people of this country.
Exactly.
Um, yeah,
The movie is also talking about the topics that, though we have, the scheduled tribes and scheduled castes in our country have, equipped or more status in the society, but still there are topics that we need to talk about, and there are things that if we don't do anything about, but we still need to pay heed to those topics, that yes, this is what is going on in my country. So there should be some basic awareness that people should look up to, and this movie has, portrayed it in a very beautiful way.
yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the main summary, just to give you a little more brief, is that this is about the theft that happens at the Sarpanch's house and how it has been blamed on the the lower caste community people who work for the Sarpanch himself. And the whole theft leads to a very, very big case, and also a lot of brutality that these people face, and how Sangini, as the wife of Raja Kanu, who has been wrongfully convicted, she fights for her rights, she fights for her husband's rights, and you see the strength of that woman and how she goes through everything with a strong face. You see it throughout the movie, and that is basically what this movie is about. We want you to go ahead and watch it, so we will not give you further details. But what we do want to talk about as a dramatic society is some of the movie characteristics of this movie, like how it has been portrayed, what was the
Yes.
production, what was the acting like. So when we talk about the acting, obviously there are some brilliant actors involved in the movie. There was Surya. We all know Surya. We all love Surya,
Yes.
and he has done a brilliant job in exposing and portraying the passion of the movie, portraying the passion of the feelings of how people struggle and how he has represented them.
Exactly.
And when we talk about Prakash Raj, obviously Prakash Raj is a known and respected actor in the South Indian movies and also
Exactly.
some of the Bollywood movies. He's earned all of our respects, and he's done a brilliant, brilliant job even in this movie. He has done Prakash Raj in this film. He has a very, very interesting role. He, in the beginning, you might think that he is sort of like on the against side, but as
Yes.
you see that they play a very dynamic role, and that Surya and Prakash Raj, even though they're characters, as a whole may seem somewhat on the opposite sides, they come together to fight for human rights,
Yes.
and that is something that represents like the the message, the unity
Message
of
that
the country,
yes,
the
we need
mission
to
of
work
human
together to
rights.
fight for these issues. Like
Yes,
the
yes,
ideologies of Prakash Raj and Surya were very different in this film, but the way they were dynamics was set in the film that they were supposed to work together, and it was their
yeah.
choice to work together. Most importantly, it was their
they
choice.
they represented they represented the most important message of the film, is that working together, no matter what your opinions are, no matter if you want to fight each other, if your opinions to go along with each other, the fact that they work together for the single cause, to maintain the human rights of this country, to protect the freedom of a woman or of a man who have been wrongfully convicted. They portrayed that message in this movie, and it's something really, really important that all of us need to take away.
And also one more thing which I observed, that they both were, giving a chance to express their opinions to each other in the movie. Like in this, there was a scene in which the Prakash was explaining that everywhere you cannot take the law and make decisions. There are some places where you need to break the law to, actually pay justice to someone. And then also Chandru take who are to the people of tribe who were, falsely convicted for crimes. And so I feel that they both were, trying to understand each other's opinion, which is very necessary when you're working together in a place, in a setting like a law.
Yes, yes. Further, one thing I really, really appreciated about this movie was the fact that as a movie, I mean, as a film from the dramatics perspective, they kept it extremely original and real, which is something that I have constantly noticed in some brilliant artworks, right?
Yes.
Is that they did not manipulate, they did not exaggerate, they just show what it is. And you can see this not only from the way that the actors have acted and portrayed their roles, but also through the setting of the environment in the movie. The village that the caste people live in, the
Yes.
cultural rights and the cultural values that they follow, the way that the funeral had taken place, and the way that the settings were portrayed in the movie, the caste values, like I've talked about, the caste rights that they show, the cultural rights that they show, and also the way that the police stations and the adalat, I mean the
Yes.
law office and the
Exactly.
court, how they've been portrayed. Even like the little details have been talked about, where the law reports, they aren't in English or Hindi, they're in Tamil.
Exactly.
This shows like the cultural originality of the movie.
Also, in the starting of the film, there were instances when they were showing the culture of Tamil, the celebration that they were doing at the beach. And there was this song during the movie in which they showed the entire culture of the village, how they live. So I thought that it is not that they are not happy with their lives. They are actually happy with their lives. Even after being excluded from the society, they are happily living in their lives. But still, people are going to, pinch you in the for this reason. So that was very beautifully portrayed that they are happy with their life and they respect their status, whatever their society has given to them. And still people are going to, pinch them for no reasons.
Yeah, yeah. And also like the individual characters have been given very, very beautiful like portrayals. It's not that it's just some caste worker that has been done injustice towards, even though that is wrong.
Yeah,
You see Raja's character when he's being beaten and when injustice has been done towards him. You see how even then he maintains his self-respect. He maintains that let's have some patience. Let's not give
yes,
in, because this is something that will always haunt us for the rest of our lives if we do give in, if we accept wrongful charges. Even Sangini, you see her, even though her husband has suffered so much, even though she can't find her husband, she goes forward. There were multiple times when people tried to bribe her to take back the charges, but she stood forward and she fought her fight. She
exactly.
kept going forward with whatever she had, and I think that is something that was portrayed beautifully in the movie. Her character and how she was strong in the face of failure throughout.
This beautifully portrayed that they are asking for nothing from us, but they are just asking the status and respect from us. I remember the scene from the movie when her daughter was forcefully kidnapped, not kidnapped, but taken away by the police, and she was asked to sign to take back the case. Otherwise, she will not leave. And after that, the DGP's decision came that you have to leave the Sangini in the police van to her, and she refused to take the van because it was against her self-respect. And that scene was so beautifully portrayed that police was all the way she was going in the bus. Then also the police workers had to follow her to her home.
Follow her.
Yes,
Hmm.
and it was so beautifully portrayed that they also value their self-respect more than that money that they want or they are going to offer
Yeah,
them.
yeah. Even like people like the DGP of the police, community, he on such a big level had tried to bribe Sanghini for taking back the
Yes.
case, because apparently it is an insult to the police department, because three of the police officers had done such a bad thing. But she maintained her self-respect. She maintained the way that she held herself, and she was like, I just want justice. I don't want money. And I think that was really, really beautiful. So other than that, I think the production was great as well. The way
Yeah.
that the setups, like we just talked about, it was very original. It felt like it was an actual portrayal instead of
Actual
something that
portrayal of
was
the film.
exaggerated. Yeah. The police custody, the way that the court functioned, and how people live, the village in which the caste people live, the whole village, and how people talk. Everything was very original, and we can see that the effort from the production has been
Yeah.
phenomenal, and it gives a very, very original, authentic view of the film.
Also, when we talk
So
about
we
the
should.
video details, when in the starting of the film, we see that their house was, got broken during the rain. So the struggles that the tribe people face during the rainy seasons, and their huts are not even strong enough to
Yeah.
rectify the turbulences. So that details was so beautifully mentioned in the film.
Yeah, so like it's very intricate, like we just mentioned, the movie, the way it's been portrayed, the way it's been structured, the acting, and the little details that have been mentioned, it's very, very intricate and authentic, and gives a very real feel to the movie, which was very much appreciated by the both of us as movie geeks. So going further, when we talk about what this movie was about, what is the purpose of us watching this movie and
Yeah.
us doing this review, um we just want to put forward the fact that Jai Bhim, this movie brought about a lot of issues that both of us, and I'm very, very sure a lot of
Exactly.
us, are unaware about. We knew that people from the lower minorities face injustice. We knew that they don't have proper education. We knew that they don't have proper living. But more than that, this was active, you know, an active threat to their life. It was an active way. It feels like this could happen to any of us if we were from that
Yeah.
community. And that makes me feel so unsafe, that the fact that someone, just because they are from this community, could be wronged just like this. And this is
Yeah.
just one case. During that time, because the DGP of the police department had said that all the cases of the police department have to be
Exactly.
solved in the last 2 weeks, they blamed all the cases on the lower minority caste people, which was wrong, which was absolutely wrong. And you see how this happens in the movie. It makes your heart literally bleed. It makes you feel like, I don't know what I'm watching, but it feels absolutely wrong. And that is something that I feel like we all need to bring our attention towards, even though this case was back in 1995, and
Exactly.
even though there have been more progressions in how we treat our castes and how we give them the rights, there still needs to be more dialogue and awareness about what they're doing in the present. There needs
Yes.
to be a way that we can keep accountability.
People need to start respecting each community. The movie's main message was
Mm,
that we need to respect each and every community, and it is not that lower class community only have the people like thieves and robbers, murderers. Every community has this type of persons. Just the fact that we have
and
started blaming these communities, it has become a myth that this community will commit this type of crimes.
and the thing is, this has been shown in the movie. Surya's dialogue, one of the dialogues by Surya in the movie was that, do you think that thieves exist only in these communities? Do you think
Yeah.
our caste or your caste does not have thieves? It is very, very prominent that he tries to remove the stereotype. He tries to remove the way that people look at these castes,
Yes.
because it is very prominent, and we might do it unconsciously, but it is something that we do. And even in the beginning of the movie, I remember that there was this dialogue by one of the police officers. He was just a side actor, but he had said this because the other police officer asks him, what is the fault of these people? And he
Yeah,
says the fault is that they were born.
they're born in this community.
That shows something that is so harrowing. It's so emotional and it's so heartbreaking that their fault is nothing
Yes,
but the fact that they belong to a certain community
they
that is
belong to a
claimed to be
stigmatized
respected in
community.
Tamil Nadu, but is not. They've
Yeah,
taken away their rights. They've taken away the right to freedom, the right to education, the right to breathe and live properly,
we,
the right to have certain basic human rights. It's just harrowing how this movie proceeds, and they show cruelty. They show the cruelty. They don't try to cut the scene. They show exactly what had happened. And there were certain parts where I'm not joking. I had to skip forward because I could not watch
yes,
it. I could not watch how they were being treated. I could not watch how they were being beaten.
even
And
how
it was
harshly they treating the people in the
exactly
lockups. You cannot see that scenes actually, because the
it
brutality
was
of
really
the people that they have shown against this community, it was like you will have to skip this part.
I mean
Yeah,
I had
yeah,
to
it's your
because I could
personal
not
opinion.
take it. Yeah, I hope, I mean, whoever is watching this and whoever is hoping to watch the movie
Yeah,
as we go forward, I hope that you go in with a strong stomach because it will take some really, really high emotional toll when you do watch this
yeah,
movie. It is quite upsetting, but it
it's
is
a
also
heart-wrenching
extremely,
movie.
extremely important. It's a very like we've talked that this movie can be quite upsetting and we've just talked about it. We also want to make sure that you know that it's very important. It's very
Yeah,
important that this movie has shown the reality. It's very important that it was original and did not try to escape its cruelties and its brutalities. Because if they had escaped it, we would not have put this much focus on it. We would not have
yeah,
known the reality. And we want to focus on how important it was that this movie was made the way it was. It was very important that this awareness was brought about so we know what is happening. Um, yeah, and
I guess it also shows that movie also shows that you always have to take an initiative towards approaching a problem. Like there was an initiative you can see in this way that there was scene when Sangini has to sign the documents of the court, but he could not sign. She could not sign because she don't know how to read and write. So Surya take his thumbprint on the paper. By the end of the movie, when they won the case, it was portrayed that her daughter was able to read a newspaper sitting in a chair. So which mentions that if a single person is taking an initiative, it could benefit a thousand of masses, or masses of people.
um, another reason why we had chosen this movie was also because, as we all know, 26th January, our Republic
Yeah,
Day, is on the close. It's very, very soon. It's about 10 days away, or a week away. This was one of the reasons that we chose this movie because it talks about some of the very, very important rights that have been mistreated in the country in the past.
yeah,
And we just wanted to start a dialogue. We wanted to start a dialogue with everyone who's watching this right now. We wanted to start a dialogue with people who have different opinions and will talk about it. I hope that this movie review, by this, we can bring about some sort of awareness. And this movie, by watching this movie, you can start thinking about exactly what is happening in the country. I know that reservations is what we do for the caste systems in this country. The
yeah,
SCs, the STs, the OBCs, the minorities. These people are given reservations because they don't have equal rights in the country. But there are also people that I know and we know collectively who are against these reservations.
yeah,
I'm not saying that one of you is right, but I am saying that people of different opinions, that the both of you need to have a conversation, need to debate, and need to
exactly.
come to a conclusion as to what can be done. What can be done to take off this discrimination, what can be done to help these people, truly help these people, and not just help them by giving them certain rights. And
Yes,
just you know it's more about awareness. It's more about knowing that there are people in this country who are from so lower caste that they can't even procure their SC or ST reservations. We need
yes.
to know that there are people who are still suffering despite the measures that the country has taken, and there needs to be more accountability for it.
We need to take into consideration that these measures have been appointed for the people who are from lower caste or minorities. But actually on ground it should be checked that actually if they are getting their rights from this, or if they are getting benefited from this or not. Because in the movie it is clearly shown that they are from scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, but when they went to the collector's office for taking the certificate, so then they were refused because they did not have an address proof or any other proofs, so they were refused to give them, and they were the eligible members who needed the certificate. So we need to check that are the laws which we are making for them, are they actually benefiting them, are they actually helping them.
And we also need to keep in check, and this is one of the most important parts of this movie, we need to keep in check that the police officers and the government officials and people who are supposed to help the cast members, are they actually doing their job? Because it was very clear from this movie that they're not. There's constant discrimination at every step of the way. They were refused help again and again and again because they were from a lower caste. And this is something that was like taken forward by every official. It wasn't just one official who was stereotyped. So we have to make sure that there's accountability at every step. We have to make sure that they're treated right, because it is a case of human rights. It's a case of their freedom. It's a case of their own respect, and that is something that we need to be able to grant them.
Yeah, although this film is based on a 1993 incident, but still we need to check this upon, because after such years, so many years of independence in our country, there are still lackings in our legal system, that there are still loopholes, that criminals are freely roaming in the country. So this needs to be checked upon, because there is some loophole in the legal system. That's why this is happening.
Definitely. And India is a growing country. We can all say that. We're already in the developing country status, and I realized that. But not just economically, but culturally and as by values, India is a growing country, and we are all citizens from that country. It is our responsibility to grow with it, to grow and be aware and fight and be actual citizens of the country. We don't want to talk about patriotism. We don't want to talk about, oh, you have to be devoted to the country. But we do want to talk about the fact that please talk. We want you to talk. We want you to talk to each other, and we want you to talk with each other, and we want you to debate and discuss. And we want you to know that this debate, this awareness is as important as the fight that leads to it. Because it's just this isn't about hardcore patriotism, that what our country does is right, and what India represents and what India does is perfect. We don't want to talk about that. We accept that India is a growing country. We just want to talk about the fact that we take part in this growth and we grow with it.
The need of the hour is we start talking to each other about these topics, and we actually pay heed to these topics, because we just pay heed to this, like, okay, this is happening, okay, we just hit it on a surface level. We need to move about that surface level and actually know that what is the on ground reality of these conditions that are happening in the country. Because when we start talking, it will lead to a movement, and only a movement will bring a change.
So yeah, that is what we hope. We hope that this movie can inspire you in some way to talk about this. We hope that this brings about some sort of awareness as to how the people from different castes have been treated. We hope that you talk to people, and even though your opinions don't match with them, you still debate and you come to a conclusion. We hope that you definitely watch this movie, because it is a brilliant watch. It can be harrowing, it can be heartbreaking, but it is important and it is brilliant to watch. So that was our movie review. Please let us know in the comments if you actually liked it. If you did, go ahead and watch it. What did you think our movie review was missing? And yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah, that's it. And we would like to wish you a very happy Republic Day in advance.
Yes. And let's all grow with our country. Let's not just point out mistakes and fight for the mistakes, but also grow with it and grow as Indian citizens, because there's so many people around us. We are one of the largest subcontinent on the planet, and we do have a lot of people who are unaccounted for, who still haven't received their rights. And by this movie, maybe we can take a step further in that direction. And this Republic Day, let's make a promise that we do that with ourselves.